Watch me become progressively more obsessed with Twilight as we go on. I was surprised how expensive it was to buy the Twilight Saga in 2025, and I was also surprised at how difficult it was for me to find them. Originally, I wanted the hardcover black ones, but those are the only ones that I could find that would not leave me bankrupt. Okay, let's do it carefully. Careful. Careful. I don't want to scratch them. Okay. I think these 4 ones are from the first original series. Then I think this one might be the book from Edward's perspective. And I don't know what this is about. I haven't read the books before. I haven't even watched the movies. I obviously know some of the things that have happened, but I feel like everybody does, even if you haven't watched the movies or read the books. When people talk about the Twilight Saga, kind of want to defend it a little bit, even though I haven't read it, because on one hand I feel like it's just corny teenager books and don't really deserve all that much hate, but on the other hand, everything that is bad in book world has originated from the Twilight Saga. Maybe they do deserve the hate, I don't know. Let's get them out of here for the first time. Gonna start out with this one, obviously. About 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how dominant that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. Already feeling the cringe. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Okay, I'm gonna try giving these books some grace because they are meant for teens and not 23-year-olds, but the cringe definitely feels like something I'm gonna have to overcome. So far so good. Everybody was saying how annoying Bella is, but so far she seems tolerable enough. I think it might be one of those things where people hype up something too much, whether it's negative or positive, so it doesn't bother you as much or you don't like it as much. So she seems fine thus far. Obviously she's doing awkward things, but like that doesn't bother me. What's weird to me though is like, how did Edward go from being like, ew, oh, she stinks so bad, to being like, hey Bella, how you doing? I don't know if they're gonna explain it in this book or do I have to wait to read the one that's from his perspective, but that's a little weird. The Cullens are already showing some signs of being vampires or just being like a little awkward, just being a little more of the loner types. It's pretty clear at this point that Bella has a thing for Edward. And there's these 2 other guys thinking that they will be the love triangle of the series. Yeah, right. No one cares about you guys, have your own rivalry, no one even cares. But at this point it's pretty clear that she's into Edward, and I'm like, why? Because he's been pretty weird in this. Like, probably the only reason why she's into him is because he looks like Robert Pattinson, probably that's why. Because he's been nothing but super weird. He's supposed to be this like cool vampire, but he's like, you did not see me do anything weird. Yes, I did. I just saw you. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. I just did. Please pretend you didn't. Please pretend you didn't. He's not really the coolest guy, but again, when you remember that he looks like Robert Pattinson, now it makes sense why she's into him. I'm just now realizing how good of a job he did in the movie because Edward is kind of weird. He's a weirdo. He doesn't fit in. He doesn't want to fit in. And it's so weird because I've never actually sat and watched Twilight, but like I've seen the whole saga. I've seen all the movies without actually watching them. That's how popular they are. They're starting to get closer now, but I'm still like, why do you like him? He is so weird. Like 1 second he's like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. I can't be near you. I can't be near you. And then 5 seconds later, he's like, hey, Bella, how you doing? How you doing, Bella? Like, what are you doing? At the same time, it doesn't make sense that she would be so into him at this point, but at the same time, I also kind of get it, because it's like, okay, what are you doing? Why you like this? So in a weird way, I don't know why she likes him, but I just need to know more. I want to know more. So maybe that's why she likes him too. I feel like I get it, but I also don't, but I also do, but I also don't. Like, I want to know where this is going. I understand why she would be curious and fascinated with him, but like, why is she already crushing on him? This is probably why. To be fair, that's probably why. But it's a weird thing where I don't get it, but I also get it. It's too much, but at the same time, it's just the right amount. It's not enough, but at the same time, it's just the right amount. Do you know what I mean? Simultaneously, I'm like, but also, you know, I just don't want to put the book down at this point, even though I had lots of things to do, but I'm just like, what? But I'm also like, you know, so maybe this is rotting my brain. Maybe this is what's happening. I don't know. I could finish this in a day. I really don't have the time for it right now, but if I could let myself do it, I would finish this in like 2 hours. Like, he's so like, guess what I am? Guess what I am? No, I can't tell it. But I guess. No, I can't tell it. Like, no, I can't tell it. But guess. And he's always like, you know, I'm not feeling hungry today. And you know. Oh, sorry, I was just laughing at what that dude over there at the table was thinking. Hilarious, dude. Hilarious. That dude is hilarious. I was just laughing at what he was thinking. I guess I can just look at someone and know what they're thinking. I'm just good at reading people like that. You know, I just, you know, come. But I'm also very bad. Very bad for Bella. Stay away from me. Like, why are you so weird? Like, being a vampire is the least of his worries. This guy changes his mood every 5 seconds. Well, I'm not saying that I have a secret, I'm just gonna tell you. But like, if you could guess, what would you guess my secret is? But don't guess. But like, do guess. But like, I'm very dangerous, Bella. I'm very dangerous. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Why are you talking to me? Oh, hey, how are you doing, Bella? Like, do you want for her to know or not? Do you want her to suspect something or not? Like, at this point, you might just flat out tell her instead of being like, I have a secret. But like, nobody should know. And it's very dangerous, Bella. It's just stay away from me. But also, how are you doing? Come on, let's chill, come on. Like, what are you doing? Jacob just appeared. Yay for Jacob. He is more likable thus far than Edward in terms of personality because he's not weird, but at the same time I don't feel any of the romance between him and Bella. Bella's kind of flirting with him now in a way she hasn't been doing with any of the other 3 guys that kind of had a thing for her. You know, outside of the love triangle, outside of EJ, Edward, Jacob, we also have these 3 guys. 2 of them seem to be out of the picture again, but this Mike guy is very annoying. But she never seems to be like, oh, he's cute or whatever, but like with Jacob, she's like, he's kind of cute and like she's flirting with him, but I'm not feeling it because he feels too young. I mean, he's only 2 years younger than her. Technically, Edward is like 130 years or something older than her, but also technically he's like 17, so they're the same age technically. Technically, not technically, yes. Very weird, whatever, but I'm just not feeling it because he's too young. To each their own, but I just don't like age gaps in that way. I prefer them in the other way. I'm automatically like, okay, he's a child. Like, okay, he's funny. He has a personality. He's not extremely weird, unlike some people. I like some vampires, but not as a love interest. I would have maybe even preferred Mike, as annoying as he is, because Jacob feels like a kid to me now. And he literally just told her everything about vampires and werewolves. He was like, well, I shouldn't be saying anything, but we're werewolves and the Cullens are vampires and they're like 130 years old. Like, my great-grandpa was besties with them. Well, not besties, but like, you know, they made this peace deal. Yeah, they're vampires, we're werewolves. Yeah. You just forced me to say this. And like, Edward also had these moments where he's like, I shouldn't be saying this, but he just made it weird and confusing. Whereas Jacob was just like, yeah, they're vampires, so they can't come here. I don't know where we're gonna go from here, because she basically knows the deal at this point. I don't know how much difference would there be in the books and in the movies, because everybody says how annoying Bella is and how much they don't like her, but I wouldn't say like Bella, but I don't mind her. She's just like a self-insert character. I don't think there's anything annoying with her, but there's also nothing that makes me be like, oh, I like her. But I like how she's nice with Jessica, you know, trying to get Jessica and Mike together. Sometimes she's a little dramatic, but then again, I feel like it checks out for a teenage girl. I think I'm gonna watch the movies as I read the books. Because they have been so popular and so old at this point, I know exactly what happens in the movies, but I haven't never actually watched them myself. I guess there's time. There's a lot of this book left and 3 more, so I don't know. Maybe Bella gets annoying later on, but she feels fine to me now. I already feel like when we get to the more vampire heavy stuff is gonna be more cringe, because so far the book has been good, but once we start getting to the vampire stuff, it starts getting a little bit cringe. Maybe it's just because at this point Bella's kind of like, he can't be a vampire just because he's heavily hinting at it, and Jacob flat out told me he's not, he can't be a vampire, right? Maybe that's why it's a little cringe. Also, the writing feels a little inconsistent, because at moments the writing is so good and it sucks me in and I'm like, yes, okay, this is great. But in other times, like especially with Edward and Bella conversing, it's just a little cringe. But if you take out the vampires from this vampire book, it's pretty good. It's very good. The vampire review was a little lackluster because Jacob already kind of spilled the whole tea. So Bella was basically just like, yeah, I know you're a vampire now, I don't care. I know you want to suck my blood, but I don't care anymore. Whatever. But I don't know if I'm gradually losing brain cells, but I'm starting to feel this right now. I don't know if it's because they had this moment where he saved her or what, but I'm starting to be like, the banter is finally bantering. First I found it so cringe where he was supposed to be like this mysterious guy, but he was always like dropping hints that he may or may not be human. But I don't know, either it got less cringe somehow, or I just got used to it, or I just lost a few brain cells along the way. I reached to the point in the book where they have this quotation in the back cover, and when I first read that I was super cringed out. But now that I've read it in full context, I'm kind of like, okay. It's hitting different. And so far, I'm liking it. I don't know exactly what it is, but the cringe is starting to disappear. I feel like the whole vampire reveal was very lackluster. And now that we've got that out of the way, we can focus on the romancing and vampire stuff. Him being secretive, but not all that secretive. That part was a little cringe, but it's getting a lot better. I think I'm Team Edward now. At first I was like, he's so weird. But at this point I'm like, okay, Team Edward. Sorry, Jacob. Might change my mind in the other book, but just in this book, like, Jacob is a more likable person, but he also feels like a child. So, sorry if I'm letting down some of y'all, but I mean, come on. Gotta go with the brooding vampire. Okay, the banter is so good now. I don't know why I wasn't feeling it at the beginning. It was very cringe. Probably because one of two things. Either I was not used to it, and now that I'm used to it, I like it, and it has rotted my brain. Or it was just weird because she didn't know he was a vampire and he was acting weird. Maybe that's why. But the banter is getting really good, and I'm getting really into it. I would have been obsessed with this if it hadn't come out 20 years ago, but instead like 10 years ago. I would have been obsessed with it at like 13, 14. I would have been super annoying about it. So I'm glad I wasn't one of those kids. But 10 chapters in, I'm really starting to feel it right now. Majorly Team Edward at this point. It's going great. My initial expectations going into it were that I was gonna like a few things here and there. When I read that line from the cover, I was like, oh, that's very cringe. But when I saw it in the book, I was already like, okay, I'm feeling him. Watch me become progressively more obsessed with Twilight as we go on. And by the end of this video, I'm just acting like a crazy 12-year-old girl. I was only planning to read the books, but now I'm thinking I'm gonna watch the movies as the books go on. As I hadn't read in a while, I got all the feelings from the start, where it's a little cringe in places, but also their banter is pretty decent. But again, there's also moments where there's moments where this is actually well written, but it's the dialogues that can get a little cringe, and this is mostly dialogue. So overall, I like Bella more than people seem to, or maybe I just haven't gotten to the point where she gets super annoying. She's already a little stupid because Edward is, for all she knows, taking her to the forest to kill her, and she's like, has absolutely no anxiety about that. Oh, she's anxious about it, how much she likes him. Like, whether he's a vampire or not, and at this point she's pretty sure he is, even though he just hasn't said the word. Like, anybody can kill you if they drag you into the woods. But, like, she's not afraid that they're going into the woods alone, and he tells her she should be afraid of him. But she's afraid that her clumsy might trip somewhere. But even with that, I don't dislike her. This Mike guy is getting even more annoying, even though he's less and less in the book, but he just keeps inviting her to the dance, and it's kind of like a Sadie Hawkins dance. Like, she's supposed to invite him, but like he keeps inviting her. But now we're starting to see slightly more from the Cullens, and by slightly more literally mean that Alice had like one line. I wonder if they're not gonna have them show up until the second book in more prominent roles, because there isn't that much left. I mean, this is like 400 pages. I mean, there's exactly 200 pages left, but like, so I guess there's plenty of time and we'll see, but no offense to Bella. I think I like her more than people seem to like her, or at least until now, but I'm kind of like more curious about the vampire stuff, okay? Like, she's just a normal, regular girl. Like, all she does is go to school, think about Edward, and do laundry and cook. Like, what are the vampires doing? What are they thinking? What are they talking about? What's happening with them? The vampires have a whole thing going on in the background, and at this point we know exactly what's going on in Bella's life. There's been nothing new in 200 pages, so like, can we switch perspectives? Or can she finally be let in more so that we get to know more about them? It's like, I get that's the vibe that they're going for, like mysterious vampires that you don't know what's going on in their heads, but like, okay, we already had that. Can we go see what's happening with them now, because it feels more interesting? But the banter between Edward and Bella is pretty good for the most part. It's just that there's some teeny tiny cringy moments, and also the rest of Bella's life outside of just these moments where she's flirting with him, like, I don't care about that. And like, we only get like, she doesn't do much outside of talking to Edward, but even that, I'm like, okay, we get it. Let's see what he's doing. They're in the woods now. Will he kill her? What's going to happen? Provided that there are quite a lot of books left. I'm gonna assume she survives, but let's see. I kind of love this chapter. There are moments where I should be cringing, but I'm not. Instead, I'm like, you know, the romance is just romancing so well. Bella is so horny, she does not care that she's gonna die. And see, at least she owns it. At least she's like, I know I'm an idiot, but like, I'm too horny to think about that. And, you know, I gotta respect that. So far I like her. Let's see if that prevails for all of the 4 books, but like, I can appreciate being so horny that it makes you stupid. Like, she's not stupid in an annoying way to me. Maybe because I kind of rationalize it, because I would probably do the same in that situation. Like, you might die, but you get to be with a vampire for a little bit before that, so like, and based on just seeing the titles of the chapters, I'm expecting to see more from the whole vampire family as well. And Charlie has absolutely no idea of anything that's happening. That's a little concerning. He doesn't know that his daughter is in the woods making out with a vampire that is this close to killing her. But it's fine, she survived. The only thing that's concerning is that the whole age difference to me as a whole, it's not that weird, because he's 17 technically, but he's not. He's like almost 130 years old or whatever. But because he is physically 17, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But in this chapter, he's kind of like referring to the other teens at the school as children. He also described her as a little girl once, so I'm like, should we call the police on Edward? That's a little weird, but like, the rest of it is, I don't want to say good, because it's like trashy romance, but like, it's so good if you like trashy romance. If you like that, it's perfect. That's literally the #1 trashy romance in the world. So I'm going to ignore that, because their romance is too good to not ship. But then if you think about him seeing the other students at the school as children, and then he is in love with her. If you think about that, it gets weird. So I'm gonna swiftly ignore that so that I can continue shipping and enjoying the romance. And something else that I'm starting to think as I'm reading this and how thirsty he is for her blood, how he wants to suck her blood, I'm thinking this girl is literally one period away from her dying. Or maybe they can work with that. Maybe, you know, now they even have these menstrual cups. Maybe she pops one in, pops it out, and then he's like, I hate that mental image, but I can't get this out of my head as I'm reading how he finds her blood so tasty smelling. I just can't get that out of my head and I'm disgusted. But let's just say this is a magical universe where periods don't exist. I thought I was a fool for no one. Ooh, baby, I'm a fool for you. And at this point, I'm sure this is gonna be a 5 stars for me. I don't even care at this point. If you want to make fun of me for it, do. But at this point, I'm giving this 5 stars for sure. Because at the beginning, there were some things that felt cringe. And I feel like I'm at this point where things would feel cringe if they were out of context. But because they're in context, it all just feels perfect to me. Literally perfect. And there also are some moments in this when I'm like, this is actually well written. Now, if you haven't actually read the books and you've just watched the movies, or you haven't even watched the movies and you've just know about it from like pop culture, you'll probably be like, what? No, absolutely not. It's not well written. But like, genuinely though, there are moments where it is super well written, especially compared to the top books now. Go to any library and all of the top most popular books and the romance genre and just overall, they are so much worse written than this. We finally got an age reveal from Edward, and he is exactly 100 years older than me apparently. I just think this is so much better than like the entire romance genre now, and it's such a shame because all of it's inspired by this in a way. All roads lead to Twilight. Everything somehow comes from this. And it's so weird because here we have 2 whole chapters, one after the other, where it's just that banter and yearning between the two of them. And there's nothing actually spicy, physical, and like every touch is so important. But then in most romance books now, it will be like 1.5 pages of that and then just porn. She's describing his face, his eyes, very much describing his bright yellow eyes, but like, you know, his jaw, things like that. And romance books now are about nipples and penises, that's all it is. And I hate that it's like that right now because I love this like trashy, cheesy romance. It's just so good to me, but in order to get 1.5 pages of that, I gotta go through 10 pages of porn, and I gotta pay 20 to 40 bucks for it now. It's like, I should make a whole video just ranting about how much I hate the state of book talk, booktube, and like, they've basically completely ruined literature. And I'm like, I'm not some sort of a literature snob. I'm literally giving this book 5 stars. I'm not a literature snob in any way. But it's just like there's so much goodness in this yearning and banter and these like tension. There's just so much gold in there, and nowadays they just completely throw out the window and let's just fornicate all the time. Hearing characters talk about virginity and waiting till marriage in a positive way, like that just doesn't happen anywhere at all now. And even at the time, even then it was a rarity, but now it's just nowhere to be seen. And that's why initially when I went into this, I didn't want to like this book because it kind of all started from here. Everybody just started writing their own porn fan fiction of this book, and those became popular, and now that is what literature is. Everything that is popular now, it's literally just porn version of Twilight fan fiction. I went to the bookstore and very close to the kids section, there was this furry porn book as a top bestseller, like a furry porn book. A porn book where this lady some sort of a creature is the top bestseller, and it's very close to books that teens will read. Like when I was 11, 12, I would read this type of books, and now 11, 12-year-olds are reading furry porn. And when you start tracing where it all came from 50 Shades of Grey. What is 50 Shades of Grey? Twilight fanfiction with porn. So I didn't want to like this because this was the start of the end of it all. But I just love it. And I feel like a healthy dose of shame is a very good thing with these books. Nowadays, girls are bragging about reading like 100, 150, 200 porn books a year that they're not even reading. They're just listening to the audiobooks, which is fine. But reading is not listening. It's a different verb. Use the correct verb. And there was always those like Fabio little porn books that women will put different covers on them, so they would read them like this. They'll read them like that was always a thing. You'll be hiding it behind your pillow at night. That's where that belongs. It doesn't belong in the regular romance genre. It needs to be completely removed out of the regular romance genre, and you need to go back to secretly reading it in your bed at night. Bella wasn't like, hey, are you DTF? Like, she was talking about marriage and stuff, and then he was like, huh? And I was like, oh. I mean, they don't even use the words sex and virginity. Like, they don't even do that. Like, that's so unheard of for today's standards. How do we get back to that? How do we get back to this?
What if I want to have sex before I get married?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
But we're getting to the point where we're getting into the other vampires, and this is where it gets interesting. Like, I'm over Bella's normie circle at school. Like, let's find out more about the Cullens. I don't care about Mike. Ain't nobody care about Mike. Dude really thought he would be part of the love triangle. Jessica... Anybody care for Jessica? Anybody care for Jessica? Anybody? Tell me about the Cullens. Tell me about the Cullens, okay? I read a few chapters at once because we were finally getting to the interesting, juicy bits about all the Cullens. The other ones finally got some dialogue. They're finally doing something as well. But it's all kind of going to shit right now. And I'm kind of thinking that this book has a bit of a pacing problem. I mean, given that it's part of a whole series, of course you're gonna need to build the world a little bit if it's gonna be a series. But there's so many pages of this towards the beginning that almost nothing happens. Literally all that happens in the first 11 chapters is that they look at each other funny. Then for a couple of more chapters, they're just getting started. All of a sudden she just knows that he's a vampire because Jacob said so, so there isn't this like big reveal, there isn't this big dramatic reveal. And then in the last like 100 pages is where all the fun stuff happens. It makes sense, it's not that big of a problem because I can tell that I'm gonna end up liking this in the long run. I'm gonna end up coming back to this in a few years maybe and rereading it again or even sooner. And once I get the whole picture, I'm gonna appreciate that we had these pages to like slowly build their relationship very slowly. But I'm just like, okay, going to school with Bella was kind of boring. Now we get to the good, juicy stuff with the Cullens. Jessica has become completely irrelevant. Mike was never relevant. None of the other boys were ever relevant. Even forgot their names. I assume Jacob's gonna be more of a player in the second book, because here he's literally just a simp, and like just not even like a desperate simp like the ones from her school. But to be continued on the Jacob part, of course Edward cannot just be normal. He has to ruin things a bit, because I'm like, okay, he died when he was like 17 or something. Even though he lived like 100 years more, there isn't really an age difference in my head. And maybe by the time Bella becomes a vampire, she would technically be older than him, like older than what he was when he was alive, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, don't care. It's not that weird to me, but apparently Miss Stephanie wants me to care, and she wants it to make it weird for me. Because Edward's like, be careful though, the child has no idea. And then Bella's like, I bridled a little at the word child. Jacob's not that much younger than I am. I reminded him. He looked at me, then his anger abruptly fading. Oh, I know. He literally, that's literally all he says. Oh, I know. Oh, that little child over there, gotta be careful with him. And Bella's like almost the same age as him. He's like, oh, I know. Oh, I know. And then Esme is also like, well, Edward's kind of older than me, because he was like born first, but then I assume she would be like in her early 20s when she died. I don't know. Maybe they said, but I forgot. But she must be like around Carlisle's age. She must be around his age, like 23, maybe 24. 22, I don't know. But even she's like, well, technically he's older than me because he was born before. But when you told me that he was around 17 when he died and he's been alive for 100 more years, I didn't think that was that weird of an age difference. But you're making it weird. It's like she wants it to be weird. In some supernatural, like, magical, vampiric way, it was normal-ish, normal for the book, okay? But she's trying to make it weird in a second occasion now. Edward has referred to Bella's peers as children. And this, Bella's even weirded out by the word child that he uses. And he's like, oh, I know. Oh, I know. Also, you can kind of start seeing the Mormon influence with the vampires kind of being seen as gods. And I assume the influence is gonna be jumping out even more when Bella wants to be one of the vampires. Apparently that's a big thing for Mormons. Now I don't know much about them, like don't at me if I get something wrong, but they basically like think they're gonna become gods when they die. Mostly the men, the women too, but like they're gonna be kind of unimportant gods. They're gonna be like an important female gods, but the men are gonna kind of become God the Father. Kind of, in a way, they kind of think that, I don't know. And then it kind of sounds like it's gonna be multiple gods in like a parallel universe, but where they're all the one god. But like it's, I don't know. I never heard a Mormon say something like a parallel universe, but it kind of sounds like it if you're gonna become God the Father anyway. I can't explain, I don't know about it all that much, and I can't fully like make sense of what I know to explain it, so yeah. But if you know, you know. If you kind of can sense that theme with her kind of like not saying that the vampires are like gods, but just like building them up, and Bella's mind kind of it's very hard to explain. Basically, if you know, you know. And I feel like Miss Stephanie is trying to make it a little bit weirder than it needs to be. Like, girl, I am sold. I am way more sold than I should have. I'm fully gonna give this book 5 stars. And I can fully see myself reading this book over and over and over again. Like, I love that book. I'm not even gonna apologize for that. I literally love it. But I feel like Miss Stephanie is really trying to make it weird. And this would also be very interesting to read from Edward's perspective later on, because it's still thrilling. But I think it would be more fun to know what they're doing to try to find this evil vampire guy. And obviously Bella ruined everything because she's stupid. Even if she assumed he had her mother, she could have been like, yeah, he's at my house with my mom. Can you two like sneak in there super quietly and like kill him? I don't know. Or maybe like call up Edward the way they did and like call all them up. And be like, he's over here, he's at my mom's house. But no, she had to be like, no, I gotta go die. I'm gonna go die. I'm gonna go die. I just have to go die. And like, I don't know, it could just be me. Maybe it's a me problem here, but if someone's like, I'm gonna kill your mother, I'm not gonna be like, let me die instead. I'm gonna be like, let me hide. I'm gonna hide. Maybe that's a me problem. Maybe I'll be like, no, I'm gonna go die for my mom. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna hide. She's kind of dying right now, but given that there are 5 movies and 3 more books of this, I'm gonna assume she doesn't die. I don't know how exactly they're gonna save her, but I assume they're gonna follow her scent from the airport to somewhere. Like, maybe they're gonna be like 5 minutes behind her from where she ran off. Maybe something like that. She's gonna be fine, but like, these were just unnecessary dramatics. You could have just been like, hey you guys, he got my mom, he's at my house, he got my mom, what are we gonna do? You could have tricked him on the phone, like, she thought that he was talking to her mom. Spoiler alert, her mom is fine, her mom was not involved in this. But like, she thought he had her mom captive. So she could have bluffed on the phone, but then to them been like, yeah, he's at my house, like, go kill him or something, I don't know. gonna give it 5 stars. Don't make fun of me. This is good, okay? This is good. And I'm not talking 5 out of 10. I'm talking 5 out of 5, the way it is supposed to be, okay? I just think it has a bit of a pacing problem, or maybe it's intentional because it's the first book in the series, and also most of it is just teen angst, these two yearning for each other. I assume that's what she was most interested to write about, not really the supernatural thing, because that vampire reveal was just blurted out. And also at the end there, Bella's dying. For like this much of the book she's dying. In a second it's over and she's at the hospital, and we spend more time of her being fine, talking at the hospital and at prom, than seeing them fight the bad guy. There isn't really action there. Edward isn't the one that kills the bad guy that wants to kill Bella. It's the others that take him out, and that's just quickly moved on from, quickly swept under the rug. It would have been so interesting to delve more into this whole bad guy thing, into the suspense of it. I mean, these bad characters only show up towards the end of the book, so they're not even a threat for most of it. And when they show up, it's this big deal, and it's like, oh, this guy is unbeatable, but then they just beat him without us knowing. We're just told that they did. And it's because this whole thing is from Bella's perspective, and I prefer it being from a character's perspective. I recently found out that I just don't like books like this, YA books or romance books, whatever. I just don't like it when they're not in first person. I don't know why. I don't think I used to be like this, but I just don't like it. So I like that it's from someone's perspective, but there are moments in this where I would much more prefer to switch to Edward's perspective to see the actual action happening. But it's 5 stars from me for sure. I don't even care. Make fun of me if you want. It's 5 stars. I was expecting to not like it much and kind of make fun of it, but I love it. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope at some point in the series we give Charlie a bit of respect, because this man has been kept in the dark, just gaslit. And I'm not counting on it, but it would be nice if there could be a little justice for Charlie. Even though Bella's parents kind of confuse me that, well, they say that Charlie a little bit is a little wary of Edward after the incident, but this is how it started for Charlie. The mother knows nothing, but this is what Charlie knows. Bella hasn't said anything about any boy. Then he comes home one day and she's like, yeah, I kind of want to go to Edward's house. Yeah, we kind of, maybe, kind of something, you know? And he's like super confused by it. He does the normal dad thing, sends her there. She comes back and she fights with him and she cries. She's super upset. She leaves. Next time he hears from her, because she allegedly fell down the stairs and off of a window, and she was in Edward's company when that happened. So it's like, okay. I'm not talking about them putting 2 and 2 together here and being like, oh, that means he's a vampire. But like, wouldn't you assume that he's trying to kill your daughter, okay? Humans can still kill. Wouldn't you assume that he's trying to kill your daughter? For all you know, this is the first time they've talked like this. And she goes to his place, she goes to like this baseball game with his family, and she comes back super upset, and you think she's leaving town forever. And then you hear that over in a completely different state. That boy has went back with her family, and she fell down the stairs and through a window, and she's down at the hospital almost dying. And he's like kind of weary of Edward, but at the same time grateful to Carlisle that he was there to be helping because he's a doctor. Like he's not even being like suspicious of Bella being injured, maybe not by accident. He's not even suspicious by that. He's just like grateful at the doctor, but he's a little wary of Edward, but not even because of that, because she left. He's not even considering the possibility that this guy just tried to kill your daughter. He's not even considering that. Of course, we know what actually happened, but he knows none of it. He knows none of it. The mother knows even less. And all she basically cares about is this new Phil guy that she's with. It sounds like she's pretending to care. This girl literally died trying to save you, and her mom just sounds like she pretends she cares. She's like, Well, just to point out, I was sleeping here, and I was here all day every day, and then after this, her daughter's like, I'm gonna stay at Forks, even though I was literally running away from there. Now I wanna go there instead of with you and this Phil guy. The mom's not even like trying to be like, no, she's like kind of looking at Edward, but like not really doing anything. It's like the mother is concerned with her own life and doesn't care about Bella at all, and I'm like, this is the lady you risked your life for, really? You're like, I must die for mother. I must die to save her. If I die, it would be better than her dying. And like, really, that lady. Okay, okay. So as much as her parents are indeed very stupid themselves, I feel so bad for Charlie. Somebody please bring justice to Charlie. I mean, I know that she's going to be dating Jacob for a bit in the other part. Hopefully Charlie at least gets some peace while that's happening. Jacob's dad, this Billy guy, he's like, stay away from Edward, be wary of Edward. Meanwhile, dudes in your tribe literally imprinted on a little girl. A dude in your tribe is literally dating a little girl. And your son is about to date even a more little girl, like a newborn baby. That luckily grows super fast. So it might seem normal on the outside in a few months or whatever, but she was a newborn baby when he first laid his eyes on her. Not only him, there's this other man in your tribe that's dating a child. You're not gonna do anything about it. You're just gonna be like, oh, but the vampires are the ones that have the problem. I mean, at the very least is the pot calling the kettle black, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Jacob might win me over in the next book. And I watched this Instagram reel recently. It might have been originally from TikTok, but it was so funny. It was like this girl pretending to be a guest at Jacob and Renesmee's wedding. And like, she was doing a voiceover of Jacob saying his vows to Renesmee, her reaction to how creepy that would be. Because he fell in love with her when she was a newborn baby, like just straight out of the womb. That was hilarious, but now I can't not think about that. Maybe if I had been into this when I was a kid, without knowing how it ends, without knowing just parts of it that I know from pop culture, if I was getting into it like that, maybe I'll be more into Jacob. I finished the first movie. I have some notes. It's very different from the book in a lot of ways, but at the same time, this is exactly the movie I would imagine based on this book. In the movie, they did the final conflict with the 3 bad vampires better. They foreshadowed to it a lot. Technically, there's some foreshadowing in the book, but as I was reading it, I didn't realize it's gonna be foreshadowing, and by the time I got to the parts with the vampires, I totally forgot about that, and just rewatching the movie, now I'm like, yeah, there was something like that in the book. So they did this conflict with the final vampire a lot better in the movie, but there's just so much missing from the movie that was in the book, and mainly Bella and Edward's story. So overall, I gotta say the movie was a little cringe. Just listen, it took me a while. I think around 50 pages or so. Not even 50. I think it took me about 100 pages in the book to stop feeling the cringe. And from then on, I loved it. And a lot of the things that I loved from the book were not in the movie. They were like rushed through. And there's an extended cut. I didn't find the extended cut, but I assume it would be better. If I had seen the movie without reading the books, maybe I would have been like, oh, this whole thing is just too cringe for me. There gets to a point where Bella and Edward's interactions are kind of okay, I'm feeling it. There gets a point where you start feeling it, but at first, it's kind of like watching 2 special ed kids try to flirt with each other. Especially the scenes at the school, but like a lot of the scenes in the first 1 hour. I would say after the first like an hour and 15 minutes, after that time, like when he reveals that he is a vampire, and I think they kind of did better in the movie because in the book she already knew, and the movie doesn't take much time for them to get together. In the book, they just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. And he's like, no, I want to be with you, no, I don't, it's too dangerous, I'm too dangerous. Never mind, forget all that, I want to be with you now. And then they do it a few times. First scene that I really liked with them in the book was the one with the telescope, but that is in the movie. But in the movie, it's just so cringe. In the book, there were cringe moments between them before that and after that. But that scene, I didn't think it was that cringe in the book at all. But in the movie, it really is like watching two autistic kids try to talk to each other. It really is like that. Like, go find that scene, them like looking through the telescope together, like the way that he's moving, the way that she's moving. She's moving like this. She does this a lot, like it really lots of times kind of looks like two autistic kids trying to talk to each other. And if you go watching those scenes with that in your mind, you won't be able to unsee it. I do prefer the book, all things considered. Kristen and Robert will be acting like they were portraying retarded kids. Sometimes they would just, like, especially Kristen at the beginning, she would like just twitch so much. I don't know, have you seen this guy that makes these parodies of like movie tropes? I assume he makes them on TikTok, but I've seen them on YouTube Shorts. Like, I just could not unsee his videos in the introduction scenes with Bella. Like, she just twitches a lot. It's like, and like, she is funny, but the way that she's delivering it, I'm like, I feel like the kids around you are laughing not because you said a funny joke, the joke was funny, but the way you said it kind of makes it feel like you're a retard. And for some reason, like the way she would hold some things, like the way she would hold her phone sometimes, or like a piece of celery, the way she would hold it, like this, like she would hold a piece of celery like this. Are you special, Bella? Are you special? And at first you would be like, okay, Kristen, you can chill with the, you can chill with the, not like other girls think, you can chill with that acting. But then again, this is the best way to be Bella. And also, like, that scene at the hospital, I was kind of cringing when I was reading it, like imagining how Bella would act. That would be a little weird, but then she did it in a great way. Like, literally, as cringe as some of the scenes were in the movie, I think there was just no way to act them out in a different way. And in the book, Edward is just so insanely weird at the beginning, and it later makes sense why he's weird in the beginning, but I was still like, why would she like him? Why would she like him? He's so weird. But then in the movie, I'm like, okay, he's acting like a retard, but he's also a hot retard, so I didn't realize how much taller he looks than her. So in the scenes where they're supposed to be walking side by side, he's kind of limping, and meanwhile he's doing these like different facial expressions every 1 second, because that's exactly how Edward is in the book. He changes his facial expression every second, and so you see him limping like that, and he's also like changing his face all the time. Literally, Twilight could work as a movie that's based on a love story of two special ed kids. Jacob is even less in the movie than he is in the book, and it feels even more forced than in the book. And I'm so curious to see how they would make it so that he later becomes a werewolf, but he doesn't know at this point in time that he is gonna be a werewolf. He doesn't know that, all that lore. I don't know how they're gonna explain it in the second book, but the first time I saw him, I was like, it kind of looks like he would audition for Bella's role. That wig was not wigging. The other native guys with the long hair, it looked like it was their hair, or at the very least it was very convincing. Maybe they should have added extensions instead of a full wig, I don't know. But the wig was not wigging. And also the makeup for Edward and Carlisle. The makeup for some of the vampires, specifically the male vampires, sometimes was done pretty well, sometimes not. It would end at their jawbone, and I assume at least some of that was intentional because they're supposed to have these like super chiseled jaws. But at the same time, it looks like they're wearing makeup. It looks like they're wearing lipstick and super white foundation, because they are. And it's specifically a problem with the men, especially Edward with some scenes, but also Carlisle in one scene. I'm still not sure how to say his name, but you know, the Dilf vampire. But especially because Bella is so pale that next to her, Edward looked tan. Like, he didn't look abnormally pale at all next to her. I imagined the whatever that guy's name is. I imagined him looking a lot different in the book than in the movie, but he was even more irrelevant there. Also, the Eric and Tyler guy were not as much into Bella, but they were like insane. The guy characters, other than Edward, were just insane. And this girl, Angela, which I don't remember if she was the mean girl in the book, but there was one girl that was mean to Bella, didn't like her, but this girl was actually felt like she was genuinely a friend of Bella's, whereas Jessica felt a lot more jealous. And there was these moments where you would think she was jealous of Bella in the book as well, but like in the movie, it was all that. There wasn't any friendship of them. Whereas Bella was super kind to Jessica in the book. And there was one girl that didn't like her, but I can't remember if it was Angela or if it was another girl. But she was super kind in the movie, but like the guys were just insane. What is in the water at Forks? Because everybody's a little retarded. Everybody. One last thing I've written is Charlie's much more mad at Tyler / Taylor / whatever his name was when he's black in the movie than he was in the book. In the book he wasn't really all that mad about him, or at least we didn't see them interact. But in the movie, when he was black, Charlie was suspiciously very mad at him for some reason. I don't know, but it was funny because I don't remember Charlie being this mad at Tyler. In the movie he was pretty mad. Is it because he was black, Charlie? Is that why? Where were you on January 6th, Charlie? Where were you on January 6th? But yeah, the best scene of the movie was actually, I gotta say, second place would be Edward sparkling like a princess in the sun. That would be second. But the number one best thing about the movie was the way Kristen Stewart looked at the girl from Pitch Perfect's boobs at the end of the movie. She looked at the boobalicious dress she was wearing and she approved of the cleavage.